reporting that Rodgers spent roughly 6 hours at the Steelers facility meeting with the team's coaches. So nothing concrete right now, but the two sides have agreed to, quote, stay in touch. If the Steelers do decide to sign Aaron Rodgers as their guy for 2025, it begs the question, is that really an upgrade? When you line up Rodgers' numbers against Russell Wilson, the Steelers quarterback last season, well, Rodgers averaged fewer yards per attempt, and his touchdown to interception ratio and QBR didn't stack up favorably there either.
I think that, you know what, the higher something climbs up the tree, the more it shows its backside. And I think that that's what happened with him. When he was focused on just quarterbacking the Green Bay Packers, that was when he was excellent. That's when he was a 4-time league MVP. That's the guy that went to 4 NFC championship games. That's the guy that won a Super Bowl championship in his only appearance there about 15 years ago. But when you ask for it all, to be the man and what have you, and you go to the New York Jets, clearly that was just a dismal situation, to put it lightly, and it wasn't his best self, his best version. But for all of these people that think he's done, I will remind you, last year was a bad year too. First year in Jets, he gets hurt. You know it better than anybody on the planet, Greeny. 4th play of the season. He goes down for the rest of the year. So last year he comes back from an Achilles. He doesn't have the greatest year. They lose a 4th quarter lead about 7 times, etc. I will remind everybody, a down year for Aaron Rodgers, was throwing for nearly 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I'm sorry. You put DK Metcalf and George Pickens as the wideout, Freiermuth as your running back, Warren in the backfield with a beefed-up offensive line, with Mike Tomlin clearly being the voice for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, Cincinnati and Baltimore can't be ignored. I get that part. But I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, who always find a way to at least be relevant until the playoffs, that is, and then they can't win a game since 2016. But if you put Aaron Rodgers behind center under those conditions and say, focus on throwing the damn football, leave the rest to us, I think Aaron Rodgers got enough left for the Steelers to potentially.
Real talk.
5 out of 6. Didn't play great against the Ravens in the playoff game. Now, you could argue if you think it's a big enough upgrade, Rodgers over Wilson, you could argue that. But I think Rodgers is a better quarterback. If I had a game to win right now for my life, would I take Wilson or Rodgers? Right now, I take Rodgers. And Pittsburgh is a now team. They don't have a young quarterback they're trying to develop. They brought Metcalf in. They paid him a fortune. They got Pickens sitting there. Watt and Hayward not going to last forever. So if I was Pittsburgh, I would do everything in my power. And I understand he sucks all the oxygen out of the room. But I would do everything, and he does. I would do everything in my power to make sure Rodgers is my quarterback, because I think he's better than Wilson. And the idea for them right now, Lewis, would be, what is my best chance to do something in the postseason? And I think Aaron's better than Russell. So I would sit there and say, Hayward, you're wrong. Wait all day if you have to.
Steve, what you got?
You know, when I think about Cam Hayward, first of all, as a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan, obviously profound respect and appreciation for Cameron Hayward and what he's meant to the organization. I did not like what he said. And the reason why I did not like what he said is because I thought his response was incomplete. Like, you know, just say you either want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't. Well, are you saying that because you're a Pittsburgh Steeler, or are you saying that because Aaron Rodgers isn't what he used to be? That he's not the guy that's resembled a 4-time league MVP. He's not the guy that won the Super Bowl championship. He's not a guy that been to 5 NFC championship games and was universally recognized from a strictly talent perspective as arguably the greatest quarterback we'd ever seen before Patrick Mahomes came along. Is it because he's no longer that dude that you're saying that? Because if that's the case, simply say it. His answer was incomplete, Lewis. Doggy. That was my issue with it. To leave it open-ended, let's go to Pittsburgh Steeler route. If it's the Aaron Rodgers route, that's self-explanatory. Bro, you ain't what you used to be. Nobody's kissing your tush to come to our organization because you ain't that dude anymore, okay? If that's the case, that's self-explanatory, even though I still think that Aaron Rodgers has something left. But if that's how you feel, if you're Cameron Hayward, that's fine. Stand on it. But if we are to surmise that what he was saying is, yo, this is Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, what exactly does that mean these days? The standard is the standard, but they haven't met the standard. The Steelers have not won a playoff game since 2016. I'm going to say that again. it has been 9 years since the Steelers have won a playoff game. 5 times they've gotten bounced out, wild card spot, okay? So we know how much we all love and revere Mike Tomlin, Mr. 18 years, never being below 500 in his career. But in the same breath, the bottom line is they haven't been successful come playoff time. Ben Roethlisberger stayed a couple of years too long. Ever since then, what have we had? Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Mitchell Trubisky, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, this kind of stuff going on. You're looking for a quarterback. We understand that. But if I'm the Steelers, I'm concerned about a TJ Watt. Yeah, we want to re-sign him, want to take care of that stud, that brother. Should he want to remain a Pittsburgh Steeler? TJ Watt, do you understand the greatness that we're talking about here with TJ Watt? He has never won a playoff game. And we know it ain't his fault. He's never won a playoff game. And so for me, when I look at it from that standpoint, you can look at a plethora of other Pittsburgh Steelers, the Micah Fitzpatricks of the world, Mr. Haywood of the world, and others, okay? They won a playoff game in 9 years. And half the dudes, if not more than half of the dudes on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster have not won a playoff game in their career in Pittsburgh. Steeler Nation, 6 Super Bowl titles on its resume. The Standard has not won a playoff game. Pittsburgh Steelers fans everywhere have not won a playoff game. A playoff game. When you are in that position, you don't get to be on a radio show or a podcast or wherever the hell he was, simply saying, either want to or you don't. Wait a minute now. I might need you to recruit a little bit better than that if you believe in the quarterback. Because it ain't like y'all doing much to be sticking out your chest acting like, yo, we the Steelers. No, you're the Steelers. There's a difference.
I think they're delusional about where they are right now currently and where they have been, let's say, for the better part of the last decade, as far as their standing with the elite of the NFL, as far as playoff appearances, playoff wins, Super Bowl. I think they understand where they're at. As a matter of fact, I think what you're hearing coming from Cam, just playing junior psychologist here, is like you're hearing a sense of urgency. You're hearing it's probably a guy who understands the urgency that the organization has and that he has in particular to kind of get things moving along here because time is running out on his career. Time is running out on TJ Watt's career. They can't continue to play at this high of a level, and they want to kind of continue trying to push forward here and trying to level up at the quarterback position so they can get back onto the radar as far as being one of the elites of the NFL. And I think that dovetails into why maybe, my opinion about how maybe he feels about Aaron Rodgers as far as his willingness to want to recruit him at this point. Look, there's an old saying in the NFL that the greater the talent, the greater the tolerance, right? The more talented you are, the more people will wait for you, the more people will put up with from you, the more people will tolerate you being someone who maybe doesn't always toe the company line. I think obviously and I don't think Cam Hayward's the only one who probably feels this way, that Aaron is not the player that he used to be. Aaron doesn't get the same allowances, doesn't get the same kind of leash that maybe he did 10 years ago. Maybe Cam Hayward may be saying something totally different if this was 2015, 2014, and Aaron was playing at that level. He may be saying, look, we'll wait till week 1 if we have to.